Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Jon McGlothian, president and co-founder of TMOG and the TMOG Learning Center. Jon, welcome to Founders Future.
Awesome. Just excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I was going to start from the beginning. So take us back to before you started your company. What were you doing at that time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting your company?
Okay, so we may be going back a little bit in time here. So we'll just say how it go. I was born in Detroit, raised in Nashville, graduated from West Point, finished up my time with the 3rd Ranger Battalion, Ranger Regiment in the Army. Went into a Fortune 500 corporate career executive route. After a number of years there, was successful. It was an awesome time, learned a lot. Went over to a privately held company. And then on or about 2010, my wife and I, we started this organization, or more formally started this organization. So that's a little bit of the how we got there on those pieces.
Yeah, quite a while ago. 2010 is when you first started. Can you give the listeners a little bit more context into what your organization does, who it helps, how you help them, all that good stuff?
Today, the part that you brought this interest on is the TMOG Learning Center. And what we do is we provide training to organizations and individuals. So we do classes, then we do consultations, and then we do coaching. So oftentimes an organization will bring us on board. That's where the classes come from. And then after the class, they're like, how do we actually use this stuff? It's great material, but how do we actually use it? That's where the consultation comes in. And then we might dovetail into individual coaching with select members on that side.
Okay.
So within our business, we actually have two parts. One is the contracted side, and the other one is the open enrollment. So on the contract, that's dealing with organizations. On open enrollment, that really deals with the individual on those areas.
Okay, very interesting. And then what kind of individuals are you targeting? What kind of organizations are you targeting? What does that look like?
We use the hero's framework, okay? The hero's journey that we latched on. And I found it helpful to just use a framework. This way, everybody on the team kind of understands what we're all about. In this particular case, the hero is someone, whether that's an individual or an organization, and they have decided to take on some kind of a journey. Within the individual, it might be a certification journey, project management professional, Lean Six Sigma, whatever it may be. On the organizational side, more than likely, when they involve me, is going to be more on a process improvement piece. So we act as their guide, their mentor, their sage. So that by de facto means that we've already been there, done it, and seen it. We just want to make sure that you are successful on those areas. Okay. So that's really what our core piece. More directly, to answer your question more directly, we are located in Virginia Beach, Virginia. It is a heavy DoD militarized area. We have lots of bases and posts around here from all the branches. So by default, geographically, the vast majority of our customers are really military, either on the organizational side or on the open enrollment side.
Okay, very cool. I'm super curious. Is this all 100% in person, or is there a virtual component to it as well?
Yeah. So we started off in person. Okay, so we actually have a training facility, the whole 9 yards. We are a school certified to operate by State Council of Higher Education for Virginia. So we are a career technical school in that sense. When COVID came, we went virtual, like overnight, not metamorphically. In fact, I had a class here in our facility, and on Tuesday, their employer sent them all home. On Wednesday, we came up online. And we haven't stopped since on those areas. So we do online as well as in person, or we'll travel to the client site.
Got it. Okay, very interesting. Now, what kind of things are you guys getting into when it comes to the actual coaching piece, the education? Why do people bring you guys on to teach them? What are you actually teaching them, if that makes sense?
Yeah, a little bit of an issue here, or just to back up just a second or two. A lot of times when organizations bring in trainers, okay, it's due to the organization's benefit on that side. And normally the employee, or sometimes the employee, does not really get any benefits out of it. Now they get the benefit of attending and so forth, but normally it's towards the organization. The classes that we tend to teach, project management professional, Lean Six Sigma, leadership, each and every one of those, it hits both parts. One is that the organization gets immediate results from it like that day. And I drive that home. My instructors, we drive that home. What can you do today with the material that we talked about today and do it at your workstation? Now, here's the catch, and this is the secret sauce, is that the employee can actually take that with them if they are promoted up in their organization, that's ideal state, or if they transition. Now, in the military, they will transition eventually, go on, but they can take that skill set with them. That's what makes it so powerful, and as far as what we're concerned on that side.
Very interesting. And I'm curious, the back end of the business, let's shift over to that a little bit. Are you the main trainer? Are there coaches underneath you? How does that operate?
Yeah, so we have a whole staff and things of that nature and support system. Now, on a personal basis, I don't think you'll ever get me out of the classroom or out of the student. So I work for Fortune 500 companies, okay? The higher up you go in the hierarchy, the the more removed you are from the actual client, okay? Then you're really managing internal, because really your clients are the employees who actually meet the client, on that side. When we started this business, I really wanted to stay in close contact with the client on those areas. Oh yeah, I do teach on those pieces. And the beauty of that is that it gives me real-time information, because I'm actually talking with the client and both the individual and the organization, and what is it that they're actually wanting.
Yeah.
Then with my instructors, drive the path on there. This is the way that we need to go on that side. Now, obviously, I do have a support staff, because you can't do everything, right?
Yeah.
They are on those pieces, but we're all focused again on the hero.
Got it. The hero's journey.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's say I am an organization, I'm listening to this, and I find this intriguing. What is a typical client engagement look like? So if somebody were to hire you, what does that look like on the back end in terms of the deliverables?
Oh, yeah. So let's look at it in two parts. One is organizational, the other one is the individual. Okay. Similar, but a little bit different. On the organization and actually on the individual, I actually go through an interview process to make sure that this is a good fit in and of itself. I'm searching for the right words, but I'm very cognizant that whatever we do, there needs to be a benefit to the customer. So if it's the individual and they want to do a certification or something of that nature, is there a demand signal? Meaning, will people hire you because of the certification, on that side? If the organization is trying to do something, will it get the results that you are actually after? So remember, I've been on both sides of this intensely, so I have a pretty good idea. So after we make sure that's a good fit, then we go through the typical cycle of the preparations for our individual students. We actually send them a package. Now, even if it's going to be online, we actually mail them a book bag with hard materials and things of that nature. We do test calls prior to it. And then when they get on board, we make sure that they understand a couple of things. One is that the class ends. So whenever the class ends, it just ends. But the expectation is that you maintain contact with us. Now, I used to be really OCD about this on that, like staying in touch, but it became a little creepy on that side. So I wait for them to reach back to me. And once they do, then we continue on with their journey to make sure that they're going to land exactly where they want to land and where they need to land. So really what we're after is that after class support with the organization, after class support, to make sure that the organization has gotten what they needed, and then also on the individual side.
Okay, very interesting. Do you run into challenges when it comes to kind of scalability of that model?
Everybody always has scalability issues in and of itself. Internally, the answer is no. And the reason why is because I'm a systems person in the first place. And all the processes that we do internally and externally are all repeatable and scalable. Okay, they're all repeatable and scalable on that side. So we can scale fairly quickly in that regards. Our biggest challenges is really awareness and making sure that individuals and organizations just know and understand how powerful the processes that we provide can really help their organization or their individuals inside of that organization. So that's really the issue and or the concern on
So
that side.
if I'm understanding you correctly, John, and please elaborate wherever I'm misunderstanding. But it sounds like the biggest piece is the organizations and the individuals don't understand how important and how powerful the things that you teach can be to their organizations. It sounds
Exactly, exactly. So we rely a lot on word of mouth. They have repeat within organizations. We'll have repeat customers and things of that nature. And what will happen is that they see how those individuals have fared afterwards and where they've gone. I've had some really great success stories. Individuals who've taken the material, started their own businesses elsewhere, gone up a hierarchy, and really things like back that information that we learn I actually do apply back into not just my personal life, but my professional life. What's also pretty neat, though, is I've developed a little bit of an ecosystem, not necessarily a community, but an ecosystem. And what I mean by that, and I came upon this realization a few weeks ago, that we actually have past students who are customers. And what I mean by customers is that they moved on to another organization and they hired us. I've used past students to service those customers. And then I've also hired past students on those pieces. So we've actually created quite an ecosystem to where it really fulfills each and everybody's needs.
I'm curious, what are you currently doing to increase awareness and to generate more lead flow for your company?
Really looking towards that digital platform. Then we're redesigning our website in real time. At this point in time, we're getting ready to launch an online store that's really geared towards project managers on those pieces, and then within the traditional social media platforms.
Yeah. One thing we talk about a lot on this podcast is the power and the importance of really having a predictable lead generation mechanism, right? It's like a faucet where you can turn it on, turn it off to bring in more lead flow at will. And a lot of founders that I talk to that rely on referrals or word of mouth, they express frustrations because it's not always the most predictable, right? You can't really get more referrals, get more word of mouth. So I guess for you, when you think about building predictability in your company, what is your perspective on that when it comes to lead flow?
Yeah, so that's always going to be a little bit of a challenge. After a while, what you recognize is that there's going to be a pattern. Okay. If you understand your customer group, your hero, then you know that over a certain period of time, certain patterns will emerge as to when they'll react, how they'll react, where they'll react, and really being at that place for them. So the very first thing that really comes back to that I have to ask is, do you actually know your customer? Once you know your customer, then you can match whatever mechanism you're using to be there at the appropriate time for them because you know that they'll react. Let's just take an example. You're going to make a phone call. Okay. If you know your customer to call them at 9 o'clock because that is when they just finished their operations meeting and they're getting ready to go somewhere else, but they're at their desk around 9 o'clock, whatever may be the case. The point being is having the right tool at the right time to match them. And the only way you can do that is, in my mind, truly knowing that customer.
What's your sales process look like? So once a lead does come in, what are the different steps in the process that they go through for them to become a client?
Yeah. So normally on our digital platform website, there's a call to action. They'll go and fill out an interest form, or they'll just send an email note, whichever may be the case.
Yeah.
Once we actually recognize them as a potential client and we feel that we can meet their needs and things, what we'll do is we'll just give them a call. I truly believe in just calling and talking to people. We do a little bit of the automation piece. That certainly does help. And the reason why is because sometimes people send an interest form at 4 o'clock in the morning. I may not be up or something of that nature, or maybe they're on Pacific time and I'm on Eastern time, whatever the case may be. And so you need some kind of an automation in order to reach back to them. But as quickly as possible, I try to make that in-person call to really talk and discuss what is it that you're actually trying to do? Where are you at now and where are you trying to go? once I understand what their needs are, their pain points, and then say, this is what we can do. And then normally it takes off from there. What I've discovered is that if you have to push too hard on a sale, it might not be the right customer, okay? Because they really need it, they really want to have the funds to pay for it, then it's about as easy as it goes, on those areas.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And are you the one that's running the sales?
We do have a team. Now, I do use AI and things of that nature. More than likely, it's going to be me that makes that call. But if I'm not available or something of that nature, we have backups. Remember, we do projects, so we're very attuned to like backups and things of that nature. Sometimes the client, when you when you reach back to them, they may not be available at that point in time. So we'll schedule an appointment, however it may work on that side. But the faster that we can reach back to them, the better off we are.
100%. I think there was a study done about this. If you can respond within the first 5 minutes of a lead coming in, it dramatically increases the chances of you closing that lead.
Exactly. And that's what, it's funny you mentioned, I may not know the exact study, but that is our goal, is within 5 minutes. So once they turn in that interest form, how quickly, and we actually have a metric against that, how quickly can we respond? Can somebody just pick up the phone and call them? Or can we send them an email note? Hey, we got your note. We're going to reach back to you as quickly as possible. But our goal really is under 5 or 10 minutes, make sure that we get contact. Because once they actually say something, that's when they're interested. And when they're interested, that's when you need to talk to them on whatever it is that they're trying to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. When you think about the future, when you think about your vision, let's say over the next 12 months and where you want to take the company, what are your main priorities? Are there any specific revenue targets, performance targets? What are you looking to accomplish?
Yeah, probably on two parts. One is open enrollment, on that side, the individuals on those areas. Obviously, we want to maintain what we have on the contractual side, but really open up that open enrollment piece. The other area that we just really started about a year or so ago was our nonprofit arm. So we actually have a nonprofit arm that is actually geared towards certifications. And we really want to develop workforce development funds to really drive that into fruition. The program is called Boost. That's what we call the program, Building Opportunities Through Occupational Skills and Training, where we provide occupational skills, vocational skills, but we tie it in with that soft business skills, project management, Lean Six Sigma, and that makes a powerful combination so that people can better understand how to launch businesses and grow them.
Very interesting. What do you feel is the biggest challenge you're facing right now as a founder to scaling up your company even further?
The biggest concern is awareness. It's actually external. One is for organizations and individuals to recognize the value of the PMP, project management professional, the value of the Lean Six Sigma processes, the value of leadership training, and what it can do for them personally, but also professionally. Now, the other corollary to that is the trust issue. Unfortunately, in our industry, sometimes the trust relationship might have been broken. People have paid a lot for whatever training that they have, and they've never really gotten the benefits out of it. Or after the training, there was no contact with the trainer on that side. So it's really both of those, that awareness, but also that trust relationship that might have been broken by somebody else, but we have to work with it.
For sure. I feel like that's a sales thing. That's a sales issue to deal with, which is the trust piece. Because if somebody's been getting burned in the past, there's people that have been burned in the past and they still buy. You know what I mean? But with the awareness, do you think that it's a messaging problem, or what do you think that it is?
Oh, one is probably a bandwidth, just like getting the message out on there, but also a targeting piece, making sure that you're actually matching the right demographic. So let me use the military, for example, okay? In the military, usually, if they stay the full time is 20 years, okay? And really, our target market within that space is going to be about when they hit year 15, all things held equal on that same side. If you take that as a correlation into the private sector, Fortune 500 company, it's a little bit different. But sometimes if you reach the individual too soon, it's just not appropriate. If it's too late, they're later in their career, it's not really going to benefit them. So again, we have to be fairly specific as to the exact demographic on
Yeah.
that side. On
Yeah.
the organizational piece, we have to look at the size of the company. This works for our material, works for any company. It does. Okay. However, if it's a Fortune 500 company, normally they're going to have their internal folks anyway. And if it's a smaller company, they may not have the funds to actually dedicate towards it. So again, we still have to be fairly precise in who we're actually putting our messaging out towards.
Perfect. That makes perfect sense. I appreciate you sharing that, and I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Jon. A couple questions before we wrap up. If you could start from scratch in 2025, if you're talking to new entrepreneurs and you could give them a piece of advice that you wish you knew when you were first starting off on your journey, what would that be?
Don't be afraid. Fear. The reality is, and don't be afraid of failure. The reality is that whatever business you start off with is probably not going to be the business that you end with on that side. When we started off in 2010, we actually started off in sewing and embroidery. We also started off in pure government contracting. And at 2010, go back in the history books, the entire government shut down. The Great Recession came through, and we had to pivot until we found something that actually made sense. And when it did, everything connected. But in spite of all of that, you really have to be able to stay focused and really understand that you're going to get your knees scraped. That's just part of the game on those areas. I encourage people, both in my class and others, to take risks. But when you take the risk, make sure that they're small so that if it doesn't work, no big deal. Put in the learn pile on that side on those areas. If it works, scale up and ramp up and move on. Manage your risk profile in that case. But yeah, those would be the things that I would tell. And I know that's fairly broad, but it really does resonate.
100%. What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
They can always reach out by me by email, Jon, Jon, okay, Jon, Jon, at TMOG, TMOG TMOG stands for the Mount Olivet Group, just for reference. Mount Olivet is just simply a community outside of Hendersonville, Tennessee, that me and my wife grew up at. My claim to fame is that who's the music star? It's the home of a lot of country music stars there on those places. If we had been in Virginia Beach, it'd be called Virginia Beach Group. So Jon, Jon, at TMOG, TMOGLLC.com, or they can go into our website, TMOGLLC.com.
Perfect. Jon, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, you have a great one.
You as well. So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you're a business owner and you're really looking to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.